Okay. Hi, guys. Yeah, so today is a very practical class. We are going to be, practicing narrative therapy. 呢個叫敘事治療嚇。That is a very fashionable. Oh, yeah, it's recording. 唔該晒。Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so it's gonna be not next week, the week after. We shall be visiting the elderly center, right? So anybody here already have experience doing, voluntary work with elderly people? 有冇人探訪過長者啊？即係做嗰啲義工啊？ Yeah, some of you. Yeah, good. Yeah, a lot of you have done it. So it's good. So today is a very like a practical reminder for us to, how we're gonna, really communicate with the elderly people. And actually it applies to communicate with other people also, not only for elderly people. So actually, and then some of you is social work student, right? 有一個好似 social work 同學嚟㗎。Yeah, one of you. Yeah, I think she maybe she's late. Last time she told me. Yeah, so actually this narrative practice, narrative therapy, is a very practical therapy. It's very fashionable. 而家好興嘅，即係 it's a very new practice, and a lot of social worker, doctors, nurses, teachers, a lot of people are really actually going out to pay to learn this therapy. So it's good that today you can learn it, and then you can try to participate and try to how to communicate， 即係點樣去做一個輔導啊，點樣去同人溝通啊嚇。出邊咧都it's quite expensive to learn it, like probably more than $1,000 for a course like that, So it's good that because I teach counseling and I research on narrative therapy also. So I'm glad to share with you what I got to, what my research was, and I'd like to share with you. So okay, and then at the end of the class we shall be having a role play. And today the role play is gonna be consisting of 5% of our total course. You're gonna be working in groups, and there are 4 groups, right? And then each group will have one person to pretend to be the elderly. 即係我哋扮好似做一個 role play咁， and then you can practice because on the visit day we will be starting to talk with the elderly. So it's good that we can do some practice. 即係好拳腳功夫啊，今日會係啊。Okay, so I'd like to share with you, some background information. Actually, last week, Francis also, talk a little bit about it, and, about the background information of Hong Kong people, because actually Hong Kong is actually it's really like an aging population. Like, actually it's going to be, last time we talked about, it's going to be 20% of elderly people, and it's increasing. And one thing is elderly people have a lot of chronic problems, a lot of diseases, cancer, maybe diabetic and heart problems. So they really need the care. Or, last time we talked about that, maybe just a bit revision. And then we'd like to share with you, it's very sad to know that the elderly people above 65 has the highest suicidal rate. 即係年紀大嘅人咧，個自殺率係最高嘅。Yeah, it's the highest among all ages. So it's very urgent. So actually, I like to say what you are doing is what you are going to be doing. You're going to be visiting the elderly people, serving the elderly people. I'm very happy to tell you that you guys are contributing to the society, actually helping to release the depression, the sadness of the elderly people. You are actually doing good, with to the society. It's actually very meaningful. 即係你係真係 contribute 幫手啊，因為幫手啲 because this problem is very serious, and it's not like one person can solve the problem. It's not just the government give more money, or if the policy is better, then we can solve it. It's really good if everybody can really participate and to really serve the elderly people. So you are doing a good job, really to join this course. Really is very meaningful. So we need a bit of training. Okay. Yeah. So, okay. And then Hong Kong is a very, a place that a lot of old people and the life is very long. So this is the background. And I like to show you that actually, try to imagine. I like it because whenever we are doing counseling or whenever we are doing, the human work, we need to use our heart. So you can imagine, well, this is not only the problem for the elderly, it's a problem for everybody. Because first of all, like last time we shared, you also have your grandparents, you also have your parents, and one day we will get old also, right? So one day I also would hope somebody will visit me, when I get old. Maybe you will be the same. You maybe, I don't know, maybe later on in your life, you might have children and you're going to have, relatives or children or partner. You hope that you will be taken care of also when you were young. You're going to be old, I mean. Yeah. So, okay, this slide, we are in the slide of the issue might be faced for the elderly. So that's the second page. Okay. So with all these square boxes, okay, yeah, you can see. So you can imagine, first of all, whenever we do counseling, we try to have a look at these people's problems. We think about the problems they might face, and you can, put your heart into it and try to imagine. A lot of the elderly, well, maybe, have any of you actually have shoulder pain or back pain? Because we always use the computer, right? Any of you have back pain, shoulder pain? 有冇人有腰痛、頸痛嗰啲㗎？你哋有冇㗎？有㗎，嗬？Yeah, it's very common nowadays. Even young people have back pain, shoulder pain, and tense shoulder, things like that, because we use the computer so much and cell phone so much. So can you imagine for elderly people when they use their body for so many years already, they are in pain everywhere. A lot of them have complaints about shoulder pain, back pain, the leg pain, or a lot of different problem, headaches, things like that. So maybe there's some expectation management, because some of them may always complain to you, little bang, go to bang, here I feel not well, here I feel not well there. So you have to have an expectation. 有啲人話，哇，咁煩㗎，成日都 maybe it's very annoying, always complaining about the pain you have. But this is life, this is life. 生老病死, this is the usual, very regular cycle of human people. Everybody will die, right? Everybody will get sick. 生老病死. You guys are still young. We are still in the younger stage of life. But eventually, everybody, from the day you're born, actually, you are deteriorating already, So we are all deteriorating, especially after you're 25. You're starting to deteriorate very much, and then your metabolic rate is going down. So it's the same for elderly people. They are in pain. And then some of them, maybe, for example, nowadays we use the cell phone very easily. Like you want to see a movie. Nowadays have a lot of nice movie going on, right? These few weeks. And then everything is on the internet, right? But then for elderly people, if they want to go see a movie, or if they want to see what's going on, 唔該晒，唔該晒，係我哋唔識整，係麻煩你，我繼續講先，唔該你啊，係 ，yeah. So we do not know, like they would not know how to participate into the society. Like for us, it's so easy, just a few buttons away on the cell phone to solve all the problems, right? But nowadays everything is online. If you you renew your ID card, or you're going to order something, or you want to buy something from the supermarket. Wow. 係啊，有啲事。OK， 好啊，唔該晒，唔該晒。係啊，冇反應，係啊。OK， 好，唔該晒 ，thank you。話俾啲掌聲，同事啊。Thank you. Okay. Oh, that's great. We can see now. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, we are talking about losing of independence, Some of the elderly might need to depend on their family members to fix a lot of things, because nowadays everything is online. Everything we need to, for us is easy, but for them it's difficult. It's because the change of lifestyle nowadays, right? So we need to imagine the hardship they have. And, it's not easy. You can imagine when you get old, maybe the technology will be even more advanced, right? Then I don't know whether we will be able to catch up when you get old. But for me, of course, we like to learn. We like to keep up with the fashion. We like to keep up with the trend. But not everybody can do that. So we would have to be empathy, understand that the problem they face, it'd be difficult. And then another thing is, can you imagine what if you only have 5 years to live? Can you imagine that? You're probably only 19, 20 years old, 18 years old, right? But for them, they probably 70, 75. My dad always say, my dad is 77. And he always say, I only have a few years more to live. It sounds very depressing, isn't it? But for them, it's so true. What if they have 85 years old? It's very old. It's very old age for 85 years old. But for my dad is already 78, 77. Maybe he's counting his days down, right? So we try to be having the empathy. Well, I don't know, for you, for yourself, if you only have 5 years to live, imagine, or 2 years to live, would you still be sitting here doing university? You would travel around the world, right? You would do whatever you want to do, right? Why is that? What does that mean? Yeah, that means your whole meaning of life is different. Yeah, it's different. You will plan ahead, and you would want to enjoy life, and you want to let go, and you want to don't care about all these people, and you try to enjoy your life and find the meaning of life as much as possible, right? Yeah, because for you it's different. You're planning your future. You want to equip yourself for a job later. So maybe for elderly people, the orientation is totally different from us. They say so. That means we have to have the heart to have different perspective for them. Whenever we talk with them, we have different orientation. Maybe some of them could be very pessimistic, or some of them can be enthusiastic, for traveling around. Maybe, I hope, So we just try to go into their world, whenever we talk with them. So later on, I will have some scenario, and then we will have some role play, so we can do that. But then also for elderly people, sometimes they get very lonely. Actually, what I think is like last time, Francis also talked about, whenever you see a young person in front of you, you feel very positive and you're very nice. Usually we are nice to younger people. We are nice to professional people. Like for me, I look okay, I look younger, and I look professional. Then people are nice to me. Okay. But I remember yesterday my friend just complained to me because his mommy is already in an elderly home, and the mommy fell down on the floor and went to the hospital. And why was the reason? Actually, the mother could not really walk properly already. And why she fell down? Actually, she needed somebody to go to the toilet with her. She couldn't walk very nicely. But then because she said she wanted to try to walk by herself. Why? Because she told my friend that the nurse is very fierce, very like imagine in the elderly home or in the elderly center, sometimes maybe the nurse didn't mean it, but it's just that sometimes they stereotype the elderly people because they assume that they couldn't hear. So you can see that the attitude for us to talk to the elderly people, we assume they do not understand. Sometimes they talk very loudly. People talk very loudly with the elderly people. 點啊姐？點啊？去廁所啊？ You go to toilet again? You cannot walk like this. The people's attitude change, to elderly people. So sometimes they feel very sensitive and sad that they lose the respect from people. So they don't want to bother people. They don't want to ask for help because they are scared of being treated not nice. That's why sometimes they feel lonely. And sometimes they used to have a job. They used to have the money. But after they retire, they lose the money. They lose the job. They lose the house. You know, I have this friend. She's this elderly lady. She is a stepmother of 3 children. She's very kind. And after her husband passed away, she sold the house that the husband left her to give the money, divide the money, give the money to the 3 children of her husband. It's not her children. She's only a stepmother, but she's so kind. She sold the house and give the money because she had the 3 children and separate. You know, in Hong Kong, it's so hard to buy a house, right? You have to have the installment, the starting money, the startup money. So she sold the house and give the money to the children. Then she left with no money for herself. And she only rented a very small flat for herself, very far away in New Territories, Gudong, so far, because she couldn't afford a good house. But she used to be a professional lady, and she used to work, and she used to have her own house. So she was kind, she was so good, but but she left on her own because that was only her stepchildren, not really her own children. And her own children, she had one own child, but they couldn't get along with each other. So she lost everything, as if she has nothing left. So it's quite depressing. So sometimes this is all this financial problem, housing problem, physical problem. It really lead to a lot of dignity problem, for, fees. And also, like, for example, now we're all sitting here. Well, today the boys that boy also late again. All our girls here, okay? You guys are all so pretty. So beautiful, right? You all have nice hair. I tried myself. I also do my hair, have a bit of highlight, try to look a bit younger. We try to, get dressed and, buy some clothes in Mongkok, very nice like that. Try. But, can you imagine when you get older and older as a lady, it's so hard to lose weight, it's so hard. For me, I do exercise so much, and then I put on so much weight because I had 3 children already. I try so hard really to, but then after, I'm sure you guys understand that after you're 25 years old, your metabolic rate decrease. And then even no matter how much you exercise, you feel tired and you don't want to exercise. And it's really very difficult to keep up with your shape and keep up with your livelihood and to be lively. It's very hard. I am, or actually tell you the truth, I am 48 years old this year. Yes. I try my best to look younger. Thank you. I tried, but I'm getting there also. I'm getting there. It's very hard. I kind of gonna be half of the century old already. 半個世紀老㗎啦，已經係嘛？半百㗎啦，half a 100 years old already 啦。Yeah, so I think it's very hard. But then one day we will be the same. We all be the same. It's can you imagine nowadays the fashion, I mean the trend in the outside is, well, everybody need to look beautiful. There's a lot of pressure, to keep looking okay. But can you imagine when you are okay, you are 50, you still try, right? But when you're 60, when you're 70, when you're 80, so hard to still try, right? You will look older, so much older. And especially for women after your menopause, and your hormones drop really tremendously, and you get old very, very, very quickly, like that. So that's why, imagine I used to be a beautiful girl like yourself. You're young, beautiful. Used to be. Thank you. That you're so kind. So treat you 飲茶, okay? It's very kind. Huh? But then, whenever you are deteriorating, it's very depressing. It's like you're losing something. You had health, you were fit, and you have the look, and you have the skin. But then it's like age take away all these things from you bit by bit. Very scary, isn't it? Very scary. Very scary. Yeah, very scary. It's like you're losing yourself, really. you really is losing yourself. You go crazy, you know. That's why you can see the advertisement sometimes when ladies go through menopause and men go through midlife crisis, you know, sometimes, 中年危機, they do crazy things, you know. Maybe after they lose the job. I have this uncle, he always worked so hard, work so hard. And after he retired, he really collapsed. And then he got sick and went to hospital and he passed away early. Really. For men, it's different pressure. For women, it's different pressure. You know, really, it's different. So, and then after you get older, is maybe, I don't know, you guys have insomnia problem? 有冇人有瞓唔到覺㗎? Anybody, you cannot sleep? Sometimes, yeah, sometimes too stressed, but usually you're tired, you fall asleep easily, right? Maybe because you're tired, your daytime, you have a lot of activities, you run around doing project, and you have a job, and then you run around, you easily to fall asleep. But imagine you don't have a job no more, and then daytime, your routine is probably messed up. It will be hard for us to fall asleep nighttime. It's very suffering. It's a real suffering, you know. A lot of the elderly people have this problem, insomnia, and then maybe their appetite change. Sometimes they eat too much, or they have no appetite, because their hormone fluctuate. Some of you see some elderly people, some of the lady, they get fat easily, or some of them very skinny, because maybe their hormones is changing, you know. So, and then you have memory loss. My son also complain, always say, "Mommy, you唔記得嘅. You know, Mommy, I already told you, you forgot," you know, like that. My sons always complain about me. So actually, our brain function is starting to lose bit by bit, and our sweet memory is losing, and then our ability is losing. The cognitive function, 處理事情嘅能力啊, you know, the ability of, you know, now you are so young, 好醒啊, you're very smart, you can handle a lot of things, your project. Well, when I was young, I used to work in a PR company, and I don't have to write down anything. I remember my schedule. On Monday, I meet who and who. Tuesday, I meet so and so. Wednesday, I need to do blah, 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 blah. I remember everything. But now, wow, I so many times mistake that I miss my meeting because I forgot to write down. So embarrassing, really. Sometimes I overslept, you know, sometimes I totally forgot. It's like, but you cannot accept yourself. How come I can't? I totally forgot. And then sometimes I look at the phone and I wrote down something. I have to meet somebody next week. This person, John, for example. Who's John? I don't know. It's like you're so angry with yourself. Sometimes you just lose it. Maybe you cannot imagine that because you cannot imagine, because you probably John that day you met John, how come you forgot? 有時真係諗唔起咯. Sometimes you just cannot think. Maybe especially after COVID, after you have a COVID a few times. Yeah, I caught COVID 2 times also. Then you 老母啊, 係嘛? And then also after you have baby, also you have this you know, the C-section or whatever. After you have operation, after you have this you know, numbing, how to say that, the medicine for taking away the pain. After you have a few babies, your memory lose more. So maybe it will happen to you also when you have a baby, and then, you know, after you have operation, you know. So I'm not trying to scare you, but I just hope that you have more empathy for older people like me, and older people like other people, or even older people. Sometimes you will feel very helpless, you know, if you're older.冇用啦, you know, you always hear elderly people say that. I'm useless啦,冇用啦,乜都做唔到啦, I can't do anything啦. Used to be able to climb the mountains, or used to be able to walk so many miles, but then now cannot lah, my legs cannot walk so long lah. You know, they would complain saying that. And also they get very sensitive, you know, because for them, well, for you guys, well, for younger people, for me also, I'm halfway lah, because I'm still busy, I'm still working. For you guys, you're busy with your school, busy with your career, busy with your friends, busy with your job, busy with your future, busy with all these community issues. But then when you're older, you're losing all these connections. Maybe you have less friends. Some of your friends died, or maybe some of your friends too busy with their family. Sometimes, or you have, maybe you have communication problems with your own family members. Especially like, in a few years ago, all this political situation in Hong Kong, younger generations and older generations have different point of view. I don't know whether you experience or not. Maybe you have some WhatsApp group, a lot of the elderly people or younger people fighting with each other, killing each other, like that in the cell group. And the leave group, this anti-left group. Actually, I also left some of my family members group also. Yeah, so relationship problem is very, very serious for elderly people. Also, is because they also actually at the same, it's a big irony, 即係好矛盾啊。They very much treasure their family members. 佢哋就係好緊張啲屋企人嘅 because this is all they have. Maybe they don't have, after you get married, you would know. Well, when you were young, you have friends, you go out. Well, when I was in university, I have hundreds of friends, okay? Go out every weekend, right? You have hundreds, like, when you call, I don't know, but this Saturday night, this event, or you go to your drink, go for happy hour, and then, you can, when somebody blow the whistle, and then 50 people come out, right? Yes, it's like that, right? But then, after you get married, or after you have a stable boyfriend or girlfriend, then all these people eventually disappeared. Yeah, you didn't, maybe don't know yet. But I remember when I got married, 即係嗰啲姊妹團咧, my sister friends, I had 12 12個姊妹 all wearing purple, like that. So nice, in my wedding. But when after I was pregnant, actually tell you, I had postpartum depression. 即係我有產後抑鬱啊. I had. This is why I study counseling. I used to study business. I was in a PR firm. I work in a PR company. So after, well, I'm not trying to blame my friends, but I'm saying that 即係你出事嘅時候咧, like when you were young and single and go and happy hour, you have tons of friends surrounding you. But then after I got married, I had postpartum depression. Then when I wanted to talk to somebody to understand me, will be able to listen to me, from the 12 girls, probably only one or half or two will come to visit you or understand you. Maybe they are also, I don't blame them, maybe they are also busy with starting their own family. They also busy struggling with their work. Sometimes they OT so much when they were 30-something, when they're 20-something, 30 years old, 40 years old. Everybody's so busy, right? With their own family or the job. So in your 40s, you probably struggle and then you take care of your children, right? Then all your mind and all your time is your job and your children when you are 30-something, 40-something, right? Then you lose all your friends. Right? You don't have time to meet your friends, right? And is it right, Dr. Lam? Is it true, right? Because your children so young, Dr. Lam's children is younger, and then they get sick and all this problem. You lose your friends and you just go to work and struggle, half a person like that. And then, okay, then suddenly, your children grow up. Empty nest, right? They go to abroad or they have a job, then they have their own life, and every day you go, 你返唔返嚟食飯啊? Every day you say that. Can you come back for dinner? Like your parents, right? Your parents are starting to nagging on you. 返嚟食飯啊, come back lah. And then you will say, I'm so busy. I have this project. I have this role play. I have this thing to do, right? Like that, right? So eventually, they would notice, I have no friends. I have no life, my children are all gone. So, well, for some people, they are good if they keep up with their friends and they keep contact their friends. Some people, they have their own hobbies, they have their own interests. Some of them can survive. But some people, they are so devoted to their family, they lose everything. And then it was hard for them to pick up again. Really. Well, some people are more educated, have more connection, will be easier. But some people, they don't, you know, they have communication problem. So they feel as if they are abandoned by their family. They feel that way. They feel that way. Oh, empty nest. You know, I have this friend, I have this Lucia, she taught me counseling. She told me that during the Chinese New Year, she only Zoom with her family in the Chinese New Year, because all her daughter, her son already migrated. So nobody, only her and the husband in the house. Even she is quite well off. She has the money and she has a house, and you know, but in the Chinese New Year, she only can Zoom with her granddaughter and children. And then she feel probably not lonely, you know, probably lonely. And you lose your love. Well, and then what if your husband died? Eventually, yes, a lot of men die earlier than women. Yeah, so that's why I married with a younger man. My husband is 5 years younger than me. That's why I try to keep up, you know, with younger look. And then, you know, that's why I hope to die near the same time. Together, I hope. I hope. But, you know, usually like that. Usually it's like that. You know, that's why when you go to elderly center, it's all the ladies, a lot of the old ladies are there. And the older men, either they die already or they hiding somewhere. They don't come out to social. So it's quite difficult. It's quite very difficult. So that's why, okay, after I say all this, I hope you get a better picture. Yeah, very much, right? Understanding of why the elderly people is like that. They grumpy, they complain, they feel so sometimes. But also at the same time, sometimes they are so polite. But you know, they don't want to tell you too much of their problems, because they need time to warm up, and also eventually will tell you. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so what do we do now whenever we visit them? What is our role? You know, we are an interviewer， 即係我哋係訪問員啦，係咪？ We are a volunteer， 我哋係即係義工啦。And we are server, so we are doing service learning, right? And we are serving them, and we also a facilitator, you know, to facilitate this interview, to facilitate this visit, and we work together, teamwork, right? Okay, so it's not only us, we work in a team, right? We are a group, right? And we hope to be responsible for your practice also, because there's some ethical considerations also. Okay, so be careful about maybe you can drop some notes, you know, okay, to record your feelings and is for your reflection paper later. You can also make some of your because you're going to be doing presentation. Maybe in your group you can assign one of the group mate to drop some notes to record your work. Also can as a group work for effective communication. And then we also need to seek the person's consent whenever we are interviewing the person, because we will promise them we will keep it confidential. Okay, ethical consideration is very, very important, because they might tell you a lot of their secrets. They'll tell you a lot of their personal data, personal story. So you have to be very careful, not try to take picture with them and then you know, nowadays everybody posts everything on Instagram, right? But then, you know, we don't do that. Usually, if you really have to do that, you will blur their face. Okay, if you really want to say to promote yourself, I do voluntary work like this. If you want to do that, it's okay, but you make sure their faces is blurred. Okay, so and then you cannot identify them or the place, the venue. Be careful. So this ethical consideration is very important. Okay, and then you don't go around telling people their story and their names. You know, if you know their full name, you try not to put it on the document. No need to put on the PPT their full name, because what if this is sent to somebody else and then they know their full name and the information and the stories? Is no good. Okay, so and then if you see any problem, you seek help. For example, what you need to seek help. For example, if some of them really get very emotional, or some of them really get having an argument with your group mate, for example, you know, we hope not. We hope that will not happen. but sometimes we have a disagreement, or maybe, the elderly got very upset, or if the elderly person tell you something illegal, then you must report. Okay. For example, what is illegal? For example, the elderly tell you, I'm so angry with my son, I'm going to chop him up in pieces. If she say that or he say that, of course, we have no ability to deal with crisis like that, but we need to report to the social worker. Okay, because they refer these cases to us. Actually, they usually have a case worker in the elderly center. So you have to be very careful if they have something like that information to give you. For example, I actually supervise a lot of students doing practicum for counseling, and they must immediately report. I have experienced this case. The student told me that this lady, she told my student that she was going to kill herself. She had this rope. Okay, 買咗條繩啦已經. She has this rope hiding in the room, in the house, and saying that whenever, she get very depressed, sometimes, she plan, to hang herself like that. So yes, some cases, some students come across these kind of cases because we never know, So as I said just now, the suicidal rate for elderly people is very high. The number, it's like 400 people died, already from 2020. That means 1 year, 一年裏邊有幾日啊? 1 year, there's 365 days, right? That means one day have one elderly person in Hong Kong kill themselves. Every day it happens. But it just nowadays, the news don't even report anymore. The newspaper don't report anymore because it's so common. 死因冇可疑啊, not suspicious, only suicide, nothing great, Now the society is like so numbed and so used to it. So you have a chance, that's a chance maybe you will come across such an elderly. Maybe they have this idea. They might not do it, but they might have starting to have this kind of idea. So it's the best, we cannot handle that. But the best is you report to LOC and report to the social worker, and then they will handle it. But if you do not report, like for example, can you imagine if you visit some elderly person and the next week she died? It's a very big impact for you also, right? So if we can do it, this happens a lot. I'm sure maybe in your secondary school, you probably also come across cases like that. Some fellow student, some fellow student or the school beside your school, somebody killed themselves. It's very common in Hong Kong, right? Isn't it? The suicidal rate in Hong Kong. Have you come across any friends, relatives, friends, or classmates, schoolmates? They try to kill themselves? 有冇人試過？聽過？ Or yeah, your friends, or even they tell you they want to jump, like that. So I teach another class for, I teach the matter of life and death also, right? So I have a special class to talk about that, so we have to be sensitive and we really have to report. We don't keep secret, okay? If this kind of, normal things, they argue with the daughter and all these things, we keep secret. But to the extent, if they hurt themselves, if they want to commit a crime or something like that, sometimes it's out of order, we have to report. Okay? Yeah, so this is important. So thank you very much for your attention. And this is important. Okay? Just now we talked about it, confidentiality, and we do things, it's like we always think about what is the objective of this project, We try to serve, but we need to protect the welfare of the elderly person and your group mate also. You try to protect your group mate also. And, just now I already talked about self-control, and, we have to have self-control. Yeah. Sometimes we will listen, we will be, listening to the person, but then sometimes we also share our own story also. Sometimes we will share also, but you have to be careful also to be sensitive, try not to have a conflict. Try not to, like, for example, if you like 姜濤, and then some of your group mates do not like 姜濤, for example, then, different people have different preferences, opinion, then don't get into a fight. Just an example, okay? You know what I mean? Or some elderly is the yellow cam, maybe, I don't know. Or maybe you are the blue cam, I don't know, or the other way around. Then you don't get into like a political fights or like an argument, in your service. But we will listen. We just listen and try to ask more questions to understand. Okay? So, and then another thing is this unacceptable behavior is you try to promise too much. I promised her that I will come to visit her every week. 你咁好啊，婆婆，我好中意你啊，我下個禮拜再嚟探你啊吓。Next week I'll come to visit you again, like this. Then, well, make sure would you really can keep that promise? 哇，呢個中心咁好啊 ，this center so good. I would promise them I would be a volunteer. I would tell them I will come and visit you every week. Like that. Well, maybe in your heart you really want to do that, but you have to have a bit of self-control. You really reconsider. You really can do that. You really can achieve that. So if you can't, you try not to, break your promise and do all this misbehavior, misconduct. Be careful about that. Okay. And then you respect person, you trust the person have the ability to deal with their own problem. You try not to be too strong, too directive, to give them too much advice. There's no need. I will tell you, in this PowerPoint. Okay. So yeah, what I want to say in this talk, in this course, in this today's class, I'm going to be talking about narrative therapy. And narrative therapy is why the background is a postmodern thinking. So we should rethink about the modern thinking of Hong Kong. Then we will have more sensitivity to understand the Hong Kong background. Then we will understand, the history and historical and your own. It will be benefit for all of us. The background information, the background of Hong Kong. Actually, Hong Kong is a very modern place, right? It's from the 17th century to now, Hong Kong has developed. Like in the history class, I told you in the last class, I told you that Hong Kong is an international city, right? So actually, Hong Kong is very efficient. Can you imagine Hong Kong is such a small place? Like in the map, in the world map in Hong Kong, you cannot even 一個針窿都冇啊, right? If you see in the international map in Hong Kong, it's such a small place. But actually, Hong Kong is a place have very unique historical background. What I'm saying is Hong Kong is in between the West and the East, like the last class I also told you about. And actually, Hong Kong is an international city. Like we are like Hong Kong, Paris, London, Tokyo, right? We always proud to say that we are international level, international city. So everything is so efficient in Hong Kong, right? Efficient, everything is rational, because the Hong Kong belief, actually Hong Kong, the educational system in Hong Kong also so westernized, right? Last time we told you about the Western ministers, all the pastors came from the Western world to develop the educational system in Hong Kong, and the medical system in Hong Kong, and the social work system in Hong Kong. So we know the very special background in Hong Kong, but at the same time, Hong Kong people are Chinese people, right? So Hong Kong is a very meeting place of the West and the East. So that's why the elderly people in Hong Kong, the young people in Hong Kong, the younger generations, there are many different differences, and there's so many tensions, political tensions in Hong Kong. You will know, right? Every day now the news is about the Americans and the China, and then they fight, and then they have a different argument. These few days all they talk about was the balloon, right? The balloon floating to America, and then all this conspiracy and all this. We don't know, huh? I'm not trying to talk about politics, but what I'm saying is sometimes we do not aware, we take it for granted that actually us Hong Kong people is under so much pressure in Hong Kong society, in between the tension of the traditional values of Chinese people and the Hong Kong commercial, industrialized, like efficiency, modern thinking, 現代主義啊。Actually, what is modern thinking? Modern thinking is 多勞多得哈。Modern thinking, modern thinking means scientific thinking. Like, you know, if any of you have studied science before in secondary school, 有冇人 take 理科㗎? Or you have experience doing chemistry, physics, you know, whenever you balance an equation, or you do accounting, whenever you balance an equation, the left, 左邊同右邊, left and right, you must balance, right? The more in the left is the more in the right, right? The more you input, the more is output. In a factory, it's like that. The more material you input and the more material you output, it's always balanced. So this is commercialized thinking, modern thinking for Hong Kong people. So that's why Hong Kong people is like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 多勞多得. You hear about that? Mark also say that, right? Like that means everybody has to work hard. You see all this picture in the factory. Maybe, you know, for the elderly people, they used to work in a factory. They used to, you know, they work in Hong Kong. Their culture, the Hong Kong culture, going through this industrialization. Our thinking is, wow, we have to work hard to be able to enjoy life more. This is modernized thinking, modern thinking. You know, then if, for example, if you're lazy, or if you are sick, if you're lazy, if you are not smart enough, then you don't get good results. Maybe I think you probably understand it more. Well, a lot of you go through DSE, right? 你都考咗 DSE 啦. Why you are sitting in Baptist University? Because you passed your exam, right? You have quite good grades in your exam, and then you come. I don't know whether you have your dream studying your dream major. You choose the place you like. So, but you work so hard, and then you get good grades, and then you come to university, and then you work so hard, you get a good job. This is modern thinking, right? Modern thinking. Well, okay, what if some people fail? Do you have friends? Only 20% of people can go to university in Hong Kong, right? So cruel, 好殘忍嘅 game 啊，魷魚遊戲啊，係咪? Yeah. So what, you have any friends who failed their exam or didn't pass the exam? Where are they now? You have friends working in Starbucks full time? I don't know. Some of the students, you know, they I don't know if you have friends, then they drop out in Form 3, Form 4, they drop out already. You know, but does it mean that they are bad people? No, right? No. But then in the system in Hong Kong, we punish the people who cannot get a job. We punish the people who cannot study well enough to pass the exam. This is modern thinking, modern world for you. It's 魷魚遊戲啊, very cruel. 飢餓遊戲啊, it's very cruel. You stay foolish, you stay hungry, right? This is Steve Jobs said that, right? So this is modern thinking for you. We are always demanding. Can you imagine what if you fail your exam? Will your mommy, daddy still love you the same? No. 哎呀，慘啦. Is it unconditional love? This is what we're talking about. Last time we talked about the ethos of Christianity. Love, we talk about love, unconditional. Wow, a big reaction. Maybe your mommy, daddy complaining. No, I will still love you. 一家人齊齊整整食粥食飯都冇所謂㗎啦. You know, like that. Is it like that really? You know, well, yeah, we are trained because we are under this kind of philosophy. Chinese philosophy is also like that. 孔子 was the one who invented 科舉, 科舉. Actually, this public examination is invented by Chinese people. Do you know that? Yeah, from the Han Dynasty. 孔子was from Zhou Dynasty, and then it was popular in Han Dynasty, and then so that's why people have go for public examination. 要上游啊嘛，係嘛? So that they can get to be the noble You know, not only the kings rule the world, people from 嗰啲好窮嗰啲書生咧 the very poor people can also study and climb up the ladder because they win to be 狀元啊。But 一將功成萬骨枯啊，係嘛？ One person be a 狀元 and then so many people fell and then they probably some of the you know these 窮書生 they died, you know, like that. It's like that. So and then in the 17th century when the Western world trade with Chinese people, they noticed, wow, this system was good. And actually they brought back to UK. Actually, the civil servant system in the UK and the US also learned from Chinese people. 其實係學我哋個科舉嘅嗰啲即係公務員嘅考試啊。It's actually from 科舉。Okay? So that's why, wow, this kind of like 即係精英主義啊，係嘛？ Elite. You know, like the UK, the British people also like that. The elites can get up into the society and you can get rich and you can have your benefit. You can join the club, jockey club and all these clubs you can join, right? So it's like that. This is modern thinking. The smarter you are, the better you are, the more enjoy of life you can get. But this kind of belief is like a it's very much deep rooted in our thinking in Hong Kong and in the elderly also. But then we take it for granted. 即係我哋好似覺得啊係咁噶啦，係咁噶啦。You know, this is the world for you, right? So it's about time. It's what is postmodern thinking is to rethink about modern thinking. 後現代主義就係要去反思呢個現代主義。That's why so many young people nowadays, they try to break the system or they don't want to be like that. Can we just 返鄉下耕田得唔得啊？ You know, can we do something, you know, go back to the roots, go back to the original, you know, or live a simple life, just natural life, you know, can we do that? You know, so we have to be, you know, rethinking about that. So actually why there's so many people have mental health problem is because of all this philosophy, all this tension that is add together, both Western pressure and Eastern pressure is actually, that's why Hong Kong people have so much mental health problem, because we are under not only the Western pressure, also the Eastern pressure and the Western pressure at the same time. So I hope that you will appreciate yourself. It's not easy. Your life has not been easy. And sometimes you should do this. 唉，都好好噶啦，做得好好噶啦。You do that to yourself 啊，拍翻自己膊頭Dr. Lam 啊，我哋都做得好好噶啦。We try so hard in Hong Kong, you know. We really did work so hard. We try so hard in Hong Kong, you know. Yeah, so this is what I want to say. Okay. Let's start again. So we talked about, you know, the modern thinking, you know, some of the little bit of Chinese philosophy thinking in Hong Kong. So yeah, what about postmodernism? The postmodernism, you know, 有冇人識咩係後現代主義啊？ Any of you have learned about postmodernism? 有冇學少少啊？冇啊，嗬 Yeah, we often hear about that 後現代主義, we often hear about postmodernism. But actually, what is postmodernism? You know, this is very, very much related to us, actually. So I hope we can learn that. We often say it, we often hear it, 後現代主義, you know, we often hear it. And actually, you are, especially you guys are young people, you are living in the postmodern world. So, but then actually, what is postmodernism? It's very much, it's a big influence in the society, in terms of politics, in terms of art, drama, science, social work. You know, actually, it has great influence in your major study also, you know, film, design, you know, has a big, you know, art has a big impact. So what is postmodernism? Postmodernism is about, you know, I say modernism, but postmodernism, 後現代主義, that means is rethinking, is after post, is after, right? After modernism. So just now we talked so much about, you know, modernism. Well, there was good things about modernism. It was about advancement. It was about, you know, being better. It was about scientific. It was about being rational. being good, in their sense, like say, like that. But then, we rethink about that. Well, okay, like I said, we rethink. So what if some people in the world do not fit into the system of modern thinking? Like I said, some people cannot study well. Like some people, they are not considered to be smart in the sense of the academic system, but actually they are smart. Like for example, I have 3 boys. I think they are both talented in their way, but one is good at study. The other 2 not good at study. Okay. But then I consider them, they are all gifted. They are all beautiful and cute and smart in their own ways. But it's just that some people are not so gifted to be fitting into the modern society or traditional academic school setting, right? But maybe then maybe one of the son will be doing better in academically and they might get a better job, and the other 2 son maybe will be getting a less paid job, maybe, I don't know. But actually we should rethink about that. We should rethink about that. Well, then nowadays all the parents, you see, they often want their children to work hard, to get better results and learn all these musical instruments. I don't know whether your parents were like that to you. Like just now you were saying, what if you fail your exam? What if you drop out of BU? Will your parents kill you? I don't know. Yes, they might, right? So, but we have to rethink. I'm not trying to convince you to quit BU. I'm not saying that. But it's just that we should rethink, about that. We should 即係反思一下. So modern thinking, postmodern thinking is about rethink about self. 即係反思我哋嘅自我. Rethink about our identity. Well, for modern thinking, people's identity is more fixed. It's like, oh, okay, you are a doctor, or you are a nurse, or you want to become a teacher, or you want to, work hard to become a scientist. It's more fixed. But for postmodern thinking, people's self and identity is more liquid. 即係比較液體化. Actually, we are in the process of becoming, right? Like, for example, I used to study business when I was in university. I thought I was going to be a businesswoman, yes. And I work in a PR company. And then I used to be a very hardworking businesswoman, like that. But then, a lot of things happened to me. And then I start to rethink. And then I got sick. And then I lost my job. And I lost my ability to work. So it makes me go to study counseling, Then I was, starting to learn that I was actually in a process of becoming. 喺一個過程裏邊 to understand myself and, become free to make choice and not only just know business like that, right? So, and modern thinking like that. So actually, and then in the postmodern world, I'm sure actually you understand more than I do, actually, because you are really living in a postmodern world. In the old days, well, usually, maybe in Japan, it's very much extreme modern world. If you stay in one company in Japan, you work for your life, in this company in the last 2 generations, right? Maybe nowadays it's changing also. But then now you guys can be a freelancer, you can be a music composer, you can be a fashion designer, and you can be a YouTuber at the same time, right? Can you do that, right? You can do that, right? Everybody, so many people can do that. You can write your own song at the same time and you post it on the internet and you can earn money at the same time like that. So this is like the internet, and also it's very postmodern. We don't have a fixed identity like, oh, you are a teacher, you are a mother, you're like that. But then, we have to understand we are in this world now, postmodern world now. But then, the elderly we are going to visit, they are very much still in the modern thinking or even classic thinking, pre-modern thinking, maybe. Very like everything is so fixed. So we are actually we are caught in between 2 worlds, because in Hong Kong, it's very modern. It's very modern in Hong Kong, right? Maybe in Europe, in UK, in the Western world, they are more postmodern. They're more accepting the postmodernism now. But in Hong Kong, there's still a lot of traditional Chinese value and traditional modern thinking. So we are caught in between, right? So this is very difficult. And then also the culture, we are in the postmodern world, we are very aware of multiple culture. Like nowadays, we have the street culture, we have university culture is different. And for example, the location is also very different. Like if you live in Sam Shui Po, have Sam Shui Po culture, right? If you live in Kowloon Tong, it's only 2 MTR stations away. Prince Edward and Sam Shui Po maybe have different culture already, right? Right? It's so near, but yet so far. Maybe Chim Sa Choi is very difficult from Jordan, isn't it? Central is very different from Admiralty also. So it's very localized and have a lot of cultural context, the historical context. The reality is multiple and different. 即係有好多唔同嘅現實啊，有好多some people say, I have the truth. 我有個真理啊 I have the truth. I know the reality, my reality, but my reality is very different from your reality. Like that's why maybe in the political situation nowadays, so many people have so many different points of view now. The views are multiple views because everybody's realities could be so different. Like if you like, for example, if you always use Facebook, it's Facebook reality is very different from Instagram reality is very different also, right? Different context, different people, different opinion, different users. But then when you jump into that, it's have a different culture. You know, when you BU have BU culture, maybe CTU only also same in Kowloon Tong, but CTU have CTU culture, right? Maybe some people say that BU people are very more humanistic, 即係 BU 人係比較人性啲、人性化啲 nice people, more gentle, you know, not so competitive like that. Sorry, I'm sorry. I have to switch off. Sorry. Yeah, but then maybe I heard, I don't know whether it's true. CTU people are more competitive. Is that right? They're more business minded. You know, is that right? Yeah. So it's like that. Even in the same MTR station, right? It's different, right? So that's why. But then that's why we are aware of that. For postmodern thinking, it's very much like everybody have their subjective experience. 好個人化，好主觀嘅。Everybody is very subjective, and we have unique experience every day. We are maybe your day is different from her day, right? Even maybe for example, I'm depressed. I'm depressed also. 我都好 down 我都好 down But your down is different from her down, right? Your depression is different from her depression. So that's why whenever we are trained to understand the postmodernism more, we hope to understand human beings' experience more. And it's also very in terms of the language. The language is different. Like the Sam Shui Po language is different from Kowloon Tong language. Very much so. Even we speak Cantonese also. Even the same accent. Of course, if you say Kwang Chau Cantonese, of course, it's very different from Hong Kong Cantonese. Well, but if even so, it's far away. But even if you very, very close, sometimes, you know, like Chim Sa Choi, like I just now said, the language probably different from Central. The language in Central is very different from the language in Taiwan, right? So the language is very unique, and the realities, everything, this meaning is construct. So this is why I introduced to you narrative therapy. 即係敘事治療 It's all about language. It's all about whenever we ask questions to the elderly, we try to capture the unique meaning for the elderly people, right? The meaning of life, the wisdom, you know. And then also everybody have power struggle in this world. We have different power. We have to, in postmodernism, we are aware of power. You know, this is from Foucault, for Foucault. Foucault, that he talked about power. Like, for example, whenever we talk with the elderly people, they also, maybe they are sensitive to us, with us, because we are university students, okay? Maybe the elderly people would feel inferior because maybe they are not so educated as you are. Maybe they only primary school educated. Maybe they are only 初中, maybe secondary educated. But you guys are university students. Actually, there are power difference between people. 有啲權力嘅分別㗎嚇。So we have to be sensitive to all these issues, culture, language, power, and all these multiple realities. 呢啲唔同嘅現實嚇，唔同嘅 we have to be sensitive in these 4 points. We have to be very sensitive whenever we talk to these elderly people. Like, for example, me as a teacher, I am very sensitive to my students also. Whenever I talk, I try to be humble and try not to be like 高高在上. You know, I'm like a teacher. I control your grades, okay? Your power, you know, like that. I try to not be like that. If humanistic thinking, postmodern thinking is we try to be equal. You know, we try to be fair because everybody is unique. Everybody is different. Okay? So postmodernism, understand? Okay. Yeah. So then what is a story? Why do we have to learn the story, the narrative from the elderly people? Actually, story. What is a story? Story have a beginning, have the content, have the start, and have the end. Everybody have different stories, narratives. Okay, like for example, what lunch did you have? You think about that. What lunch did you have? Just now I was looking at, you know, there was a machine outside, you know, selling a rice box, right? What lunch did you have? Why did you choose that lunch? Okay, think about that. Do you have meaning behind your lunch? Why did you have that lunch? You know, what lunch did you have? Maybe I ask one of you. What lunch did you have? 邊個講俾我聽？你食咗咩午餐？啊 ？Maybe you? What lunch did you have? Fifth floor, right? And what did you choose? 免治藕飯, okay? Means beef, rice. Why did you choose that? Everything else is sold out. Okay, and any other reason or meaning behind this lunch? 好味, tasty, and any memory that it brings you back about beef or this taste? No memory. Huh? Why would you think it's tasty? 點解你覺得係好味啊? Relatively is more tasty. So there's other things relatively not so tasty, right? Yes. yeah. So thank you for your sharing. Yeah. So if I ask everybody, you know, even one event, lunch, we can tell a lot of stories about that. And maybe if I keep asking, there's a lot of stories, the choice you make, why? And why did you not make this choice? Why you make that choice? Okay, like that. So there's a lot of, you know, in this diagram, you can see there's a lot of plots. 嗰啲故事咧有好多個點㗎，有好多個點. There's a lot of plots in stories. And then whenever we link up, like I ask question one by one, I ask this girl, one by one, I ask these questions, we can link up this story together and make meaning of the story, right? Maybe I keep asking her, you know, did you finish the rice? You know, did you ask for 小飯? Why? You know, there's a lot of stories and meaning, right? Behind, why did you choose beef? Why did you like beef? You know, like that. Like, for example, breakfast, I eat cereal because I want to lose weight. I want to be healthy. There's a lot of story, you know. And then sometimes story could be problematic. Some stories, like whenever you can see maybe some lines, some stories can be problematic. Some stories can be positive. Some stories can be negative. Some stories can be sad. Some stories can be happy. Some stories can be joyful. Okay. So whenever we try to ask meaning, ask for the questions, the person could do the interpretations for the plots, for the meaning. And there's a sequence. If all this stuff is just single ... then it's like no meaning, you know, breakfast, lunch, dinner, potato, beef, rice, maybe have no meaning. But whenever we talk about it and we try to link up these different items and events, it become meaningful stories and identity stories. 係有關於你自己，屬於你嘅, it's your own story It's about your identity 係你嘅身份，你嘅自我係你嘅故事嚟嘅，係屬於你。Okay, and then maybe if we talk about later, you will experience, talking with your friends, you will practice later. You can ask for meaning. Why did you do that? Why did you choose that? Then maybe sometimes there's some dominant stories, 即係啲主流嘅故事。有啲係 preferred story， 有啲係 some of them is your preferred story, but some is like maybe the dominant stories, Okay, bit by bit, I will tell you guys more. So story, okay? Yeah. Why do we have to do that? Whenever we talk with the elderly people, what is the benefit? What are you doing is actually very meaningful. Whenever we try to make sense, 你食咗飯未啊？就咁簡單啫， so simple. Have you eat? Chinese people love to eat. We'll talk about eating all the time. And then our 老師Dr. Zhang Wing 老師, she wrote a book very nice about 舌尖上的哲學. It's about the taste, the food, about in philosophy of food. Chinese food, Western food. Hong Kong people love to talk about food, right? Yeah, whenever we talk with the elderly people, and when we link up all these stories, when we can face the problem or the issues they talk about, 哎呀冇乜胃口啊 我唔知想食咩好啊，覺得胃唔舒服啊 whatever, we share. And then it's actually very nice. We can face the problem together. We can increase our resilience and resistance. And then, look, I don't know, well, we are all girls sitting here, right? I don't know whether when you're upset, you will probably ask your friends to go out and happy hour, right? And then after you talk, you feel no stress no more, right? Right? It's like that. It's very natural. Even you haven't been trained as counselor, but when you have with your friends, we just complain and talk to your friends. And then,講咗舒服啲啦, like that. It's like that, right? You feel comfortable after you talk about it, right? Especially for girls, it's very important. Well, for men also, it's very important. They would tell story in a different way, but also it's very important. So then we find meaning, we make sense when we talk about it. When we talk about the things that with a person never heard your story before, you told the person, and then it make meaning. Become meaningful, and then we can improve our self-esteem, and then we can face our problem, and then we are not lonely anymore. And then you tell your friends, and your friends are, 我都係啊, like that. Me too, like I also face the same problem, like that. Even if it's not counseling, we still enjoy, talking with people, because human beings are community people. 人係群體嘅動物嚟嘅. We need to talk. If you like, I don't know whether you have seen that movie, Tom Hanks, the Castaway, the movie, right? If you are by yourself all the time, you go crazy, so it's very important. Yeah. So what is narrative therapy? Also, I would like to say there's always a two side of the story, at least. 嗰啲故事有兩面㗎，個銀有兩面啊。There are two sides of a coin, right? 個故事有兩邊銀嘅，係咪？Or sometimes it's problematic. Sometimes, 好煩啊，嗰樣嘢咁，this subject I find it very hard, whatever, blah blah blah. And sometimes stories can be problematic, and sometimes, but on the other hand, problematic stories can also reveal our own identity, ourselves. 即係有啲係問題嘅故事，亦都可以反映我哋自己嘅自我嘅。Also, but why? Because I say that because, well, the problem is not a problem if you don't think the problem is a problem. 係咪啊？啱嘛？個問題唔係問題，如果你唔覺得嗰個問題係一個問題。So that means, what does that mean? 可能呢個問題你覺得係有問題。Maybe this thing you think is problem, but you think no problem. Yeah, and you think it's problem, you think no problem. For example, I used to talk with an elderly person. He lost his job. He bankrupt, and then he said he need to find a job in China. And then the man keep switching the jobs because the man think that this boss was no good because the boss corruption. This boss was no good because this boss was bad to the staff. So this man keeps switching the job. And then because this man was bankrupt, that's why he has to live with his mother. He was 60-something old already, but he need to live with the mother who was 80-something years old. 即係一個60幾歲嘅仔同80幾歲嘅仔住埋一間公屋嚇。They live in a public housing because the son bankrupt. So it was very sad. And the son used to be rich, but then he bankrupt. And then so I talked to this guy, and he was my case. But then the mother complained about the son, saying that, 轉嚟轉去轉工，有錢翻嚟咪得咯，you know, you make a few $100,000，屋有啲錢幾萬蚊咁啊，好啦，即係 doesn't matter what it does, right? The mother like think like that. But the son think, no, it's a problem. This boss was no good. This boss no good, like not fit my values. So, okay, why they have conflict? Because they have different values. Maybe the mother treasure the money more than the value. The son treasure the value more than money, right? So that's why they have conflict. After I talked with him, he realized, actually my mother is conflict with me because we have conflict with different values. 我哋嗰個價值觀做人嘅方法係唔同嘅。So, but then for the man, if the problem was not the problem, it was not a problem. 即係如果佢覺得係賄賂冇問題啦，照翻啦，係咪 ？The boss was not good to the staff， 照翻啦 ，then it won't be a problem. So actually 個 problem 咧係反映嗰個人個價值觀係嘛 ？Actually. So that's why a story, this is the main point of narrative therapy. Whenever we talk with a person who has a problem, who facing a problem, we can talk with them and then we can find out themselves. Actually, the objective of counseling, 輔導嘅主要嘅目的咧，係揾返自己啊。Everybody hope to find ourselves. 你揾到你自己未啊？ Have you found yourself yet? Have you got to know yourself yet? Do you know yourself? No, not yet. Not really, right? We're still in the process. We're still struggling to find ourselves. Actually, this is a lifetime mission. 係人生最大嘅目標啊，就係揾自己。Who am I? You know, like that, right? You go to Lion Rock, you climb up there, you can shout. 爬上獅子山，我係邊個啊 ？Everybody want to do that, right? This is what we do. You go for counseling. Well, maybe I also give some advertisement for Hong Kong BU also. Hong Kong BU has free counseling service. Student, anybody have gone there before? Student Affairs Office. 有冇去過學生事務處 They have free counseling service. You are so welcome to go to book a counselor. You can book online and go for counseling. Even 有病醫病冇病保身啊。Even if you don't have a problem, you can, find these people to talk. And it's very good for you. Maybe your career problem, your problem with your boyfriend, problem with your family. It's nice to chat for free. It's very good. Because after you graduate, you want to be counseled, maybe you have to pay for it. Okay? So because I promote counseling. So I think it's very good to make use in your 4 years of university life, you make use of counseling. It's very good for you. You want to find yourself, okay? So this is narrative therapy, okay? So that's why, okay, actually counseling is very much like Chinese medicine. 即係唔係話有病，即係你去就要睇醫生。If you have serious mental health issue, you look for a doctor, right? But if you just have mild issue, you want to solve, you want to talk about it, it's good to go for counseling. 好似去補身啊，調理啊，好似 it's like Chinese medicine, really. Yeah. Then, but then if you don't do that, well, eventually when your problems add up, 如果你唔做呢樣嘢咧，你人生咧好多問題加埋嘅時候咧 ，like me, when I was young, I have so many problems, and then when I was pregnant and I had become postpartum depression because too many problems add together, it got sick. That's why, so I really encourage you to go for counseling. Okay, 自己試下做用家吓。Okay, yeah. So how do we do that? Actually, how do we do that? To make it simple, sometimes we have events. 嗰啲人會講好多啲事件俾你聽嘅。The elderly person will tell you a lot of events. What happened with my son and what happened with my daughter? What happened? Events. Okay. So this table is good. It's very handy. This table is useful. Whenever later you will do the practice in the role play later, you can do that. Oh, what happened? You know, you ask the what question, why question, where,喺邊度發生㗎？幾時發生㗎？幾時開始㗎？ When did it start? 邊同邊個發生㗎？ The events, you asked about the events. And then the middle one, the second one is response. What's your feeling about this event? 唉，好唔開心咯，咁樣我個仔咁。My son is like that. I'm so unhappy 咯。And then why? Why are you unhappy? Then, okay, meaning making. The third column is meaning making. Then we have response. So the meaning, the feeling for your feeling. That means the interpretation, the evaluation for your feeling. 點解會唔開心㗎? You know, like everybody's different, you know. For one thing, it happened. Everybody's response is different. Everybody's interpretation for the response is also different. So this table is very useful. This is basic counseling, okay, or the overview of narrative for practice also. So later you can practice, you can look at this diagram and you just ask more and more open-ended questions. Okay? This is okay, this table? Events, response, and meaning making. Understand? Get it? If you have questions, please ask, okay? Yeah. Okay, and then just now I talked about there are two sides of the story. One is the problem side. This is called map 1 and map 2. So map 1 is the problematic map. So, okay, I make it simple. Okay, this is the problem map. We believe, okay, just now how it relates to postmodernism is we believe the person can have their own interpretation and evaluation for the problem. 我哋相信嗰個人係自己有能力。They have the ability, they have the knowledge to solve to understand the problem. Like even old people, even children, even young people. Actually, the more question you ask, they can interpret. Okay, so the first layer is negotiate of the definition of the problem. That means we ask the detail to define the number one layer. To define the problem. 你個問題係咩問題啊？你覺得係點㗎？你瞓唔着啊？幾時瞓唔着啊？ When did it happen? How it happened? 點樣瞓唔着法啊？How long it was? You know, even one problem about insomnia, we can ask the details to define the problem. Okay, so actually, why do we have to do that? Why you keep asking so many questions? Why we have to do that? So I wanted to say that, okay, for example, for Chinese people, for old people, especially for Chinese people, sometimes they say有心結啊，係嘛？有冇聽過呢個字啊？ Have a heart, knot in the heart, 有心結。Chinese people, they often, all the problem, they don't talk about it. And then it's like the problem and you is already together. I don't know whether you experience or not. 有時有啲問題好似擲住個心口翳住啊。Have you experienced? Sometimes you're so nervous or you're so unhappy that you have stomach ache or you have chest pain or you have headache. 哇，有時啲功課做到好頭痛啊。Yeah, headache. Have you experienced that? Yeah. Why? Because Chinese people, they don't really often talk about their problem. They will internalize the problem. 將啲問題好內化。So that's why the problem and the person is like 2 in 1. For example, we use this kind of language. 離婚婦人，係咪啊？失婚婦人啊 ，divorced woman. And then maybe 失業青年啊 ，unemployed woman or unemployed young person, like that. That's why it's internal. The problem and the person is together. That means it's like 你係嗰個失婚婦人啊 ，you are the divorced woman. Or you are the in the magazine or in the internet always have this 前度女友 you know, ex-girlfriend, you know, she have that identity is the girl being dumped like that, the dumped girlfriend like that, for example, like that. Okay, that means the problem and the person is like together. Okay, it's like 失業青年 okay, like that. So, but then, okay, whenever we talk about the problem, that means we take out the problem in the counseling, okay? Okay, how do you see the problem of divorce? 你點睇呢個離婚呢個問題呢？ So we take out the divorce and put it on the table, 擺上台嚇, and then together with the counselor, we talk about this matter about divorce. So you are not anymore the divorced woman, but we together talk about this divorce and the experience of divorce, 嗰個即係離婚嘅經驗. We talk about this experience instead of you, the person. The person is the person. The problem is the problem. This is what Michael White say, original of the narrative therapy. 問題係問題，你係你，唔係你係個問題。It's not that you are the problem. 係咪? So we make a space and then the person can evaluate the problem. Okay, to map the problem, to ask how 你點睇離婚呢樣嘢啊? How do you see divorce? 你點睇離婚呢樣嘢? Or I think it's bad, I think it's good, I think it's what, I think it's I feel more relaxed after I got divorced, whatever. Then they can marking and evaluate the problem. How the second level is how it affect you. 點樣去影響呢個問題點樣影響你啊? This problem, how it affect you. And then, okay, for example, insomnia, how we talk about how often you have insomnia, how was it, and then how it affect you. And then the third layer is you can evaluate the effect. 咁呢個影響你認為係對你點啊? How you feel this impact for you? What do you think about this impact? 好辛苦咯，好唔舒服咯. And then what do you think about this? You know, then do you like the fourth layer is how do you feel? What do you like about this effect? And what do you see about 你喺呢個影響你覺得唔中意嘅點解啊？即係 actually to say it simply is you keep asking for meaning, deeper the meaning. So that means is more space will be created between you and the problem, because when we talk about the problem, space will be created. 咁我哋講咗之後，好似個心結咧，好似拆，即係 counseling is like this， 好似一個冷球咧，有啲糾纏係嘛，剪不斷理還亂啊係嘛。There's a lot of tangling 喺個心度好多糾結。When we talk about it， 好似啲拆嗰啲繩咧 ，it's all tangled up， 掹咗出嚟掹咗，慢慢拆。Then we can see the problem more clearly， and then 嗰個冷球咧可以 we tidy up， you know what is we talk about， you know this is counseling。Okay， so actually it's not us giving the advice for the person, but it's the person already thought about the problem. The person already have understanding and meaning of the problem. We invite 邀請嗰個人去詳細去解釋俾你聽。and then give them a chance to talk about it. 俾個機會佢講。Okay, so the next page is this is the map. It's the same actually. And then okay, the second map. Okay. The second map is like just now I talked about, you know, one map is the problem map. The second map is the identity map. That means 係你嘅身份，個問題係反映出你嘅身份。Okay, I don't like this problem. I don't like this thing because, okay, this is the map. Okay, this is the map. Okay, so you have different intentions for this thing. Okay, well, for example, just now I told you about the guy who lost the job, bankrupt. I don't like this job. My intention, I quit the job because I do not like the boss having corruption, because I didn't like the boss not good to the staff. So this was his intention and objective when he quit the job, right? So he has this value. I value that some people should be treating each other good, should not treat the staff bad. So he has different beliefs and value. And he have his hopes and dreams. When I ask more questions, what's your hope? I hope to get a good job, that the boss is human, is more humanistic and more treat the staff good. I would respect the boss is being honest, an honest boss, you know, not doing corruption. So that's his hope and dream and the value. And okay, then we ask more. So what's the principle of living? 即係嗰個人個做人個宗旨係啲咩啊？反映咗actually this guy 係好清潔嘅，佢係好廉潔嘅。This guy he treasure being honest, he treasure the value of he always, and he will ask him, 咁你係平時係點樣㗎？I always very honest. I don't agree with people cheating on the money for the job like that. I don't agree with that. And that's why I always do that. That's why even I quit the job gives so much money, I still quit the job because I do not agree with that. So that means, you know what, after you talk about these kind of things, it's a landscape of identity. 嗰個人啊，嗰個性格啊，嗰個人the person's personality and the values and the identity can be constructed. And then the other line is the past, the future. 不嬲都係咁噶啦，我不嬲都係all along I'm like this, and then after you ask so many different events, different issues that the person face, but he still insists to find a good job with good boss, with good values, like that. You understand? So I very briefly to talk about like that. So the problem is not a problem anymore because actually the person is not a problem. The problem was named 嗰個人話係失業男士 he was bankrupt man. He was a man who lost his job, no unemployed man, like that, right? But it's not. Actually, he was a man who has very good values, honest value, and he treasured honesty and he treasured people being good with each other, like that. So the problematic side is gone, but he found himself being a good man, an honest man, like that. So this is how we do counseling, and this is the narrative therapy. Very simple. Actually, it's not easy. I'm not trying to force you into a narrative therapist, in one lesson, but I just hope that, you have a basic idea. This is how we chat. We are not going to give advice. Okay. So, we try to, this is what we should do. Non-directive, open-ended questioning. When we face the elderly, they have their own wisdom. 佢哋有自己嘅智慧嚇。We should listen and we promote their thinking. We try to ask questions. 我哋問好多問題，啲開放式嘅問題。We ask many questions so that their resources, their beliefs, their values can be shown. We are not going to influence them. 我哋唔係俾意見。I have insomnia. 你食呢個藥咪得咯，like this. We don't do that, okay? We don't give advice. A lot of people, actually Hong Kong people are like that. Everybody want to solve the problem. Like that, right? Maybe your boyfriend also like that. I don't know. Whenever, 我好頭痛啊，必理痛啦，Panadol 啦，like that. No, I just want you to listen to my problem. I don't need the Panadol. I want you to feel my problem, right? It's like that. So that's why, like we should listen to each other's problem and not just problem solving. I give you a Panadol. There's no use. It's not what I want. I can buy the Panadol myself, but I want you to listen to my problem and hear me out and support me and be with me, like that, right? Valentine's Day was the other day, right? Did your boyfriend listen to you, or your partner, or your parents? Did your parents listen to you? Whenever you, Papa, Mommy, it's so hard to study, like that. But then they always, like that. Usually people are like that. You do this, or you work hard, you come back for dinner, then you study, like that. Like that. People usually like that. They very quickly give you the solution. But this is not the beauty of counseling. We should be open and be flexible, and it's the person's story we treasure, the person, not our own opinion. We encourage their own opinion, their possibility, their language, their words, their creativity to discover with them, require their own effort to think about the problem, is to respond, to promote their own value. They are the expert of their own problem. 佢哋自己係自己生命嘅專家. They are the expert for their own problem. So we are neutral. We are not trying to, whenever we do this service, we are not trying to be a savior to help them to,我哋大學生識多啲嘢, we are university students, we know a lot of things, we can search on the internet for you. We don't need that. Actually, we Google so many solutions, so many things you can Google, right? You have all this information, but we are not going to give information. We are there to listen, not to give information. Well, actually, can you imagine if your parents or your boyfriend or your family member, whenever you say you're unhappy, they just dump you the solution for you? That's not good, right? Okay, so we try to avoid that. What we know don't do is directive, like 以偏概全啦，係咁噶啦, generalization, and just giving the right or wrong answer. Say,咁yes or no啦, 咁你係咪咁先？你係咪咁啊？ Is it like that? Is it like that? Don't do that. Don't give them the choice. Let them ask open-ended question to let them answer you. Let them think about it. Not to solve problem, not to have suggestion, not to, otherwise you will limit. For example, 係咪咁啊? Then they will say yes, or they will say no. Then it's a closed question. Then because we want to get more information from the elderly, we hope to have more relationship, more communication with the elderly. We not give advice, we not give information. We are not a doctor, okay? Because some people do that because they are doctor. Like if Dr. Yu, he can give advice, 點樣去推拿, how to do, because he's a doctor, right? But we are not trying to be professional. We are counselor. We try to learn to be a counselor, to be a carer, to be a volunteer. So we don't try to know as if we know what's the best for you. 你食呢個補充劑啦, you take this supplement啦, it's good for your knee, like that. Then it's not good, okay? And we don't judge the person. We don't try to show as if 我識嘢多過你啊, 你唔識啊, 我教你啦. Don't do that. Because if we do that, it will make the person feel inferior. 即係令到對方好似我又唔識啦，我係老人家啦，我唔識啦，你哋啲後生啊識多我啦 you young people know so much more than me, like that. Then it's actually make them feel more inferior. Okay, so this is very important. So I have a whole list of samples how to ask open-ended question. I'm not going to go through one by one, but when you revise, when you look at it, the PPT, you can take a look and how to ask open-ended and follow-up question. When they talk about something, we can follow up. When they talk about insomnia, we can follow up, keep asking the topic they are interested, then we keep talking about it. Actually, this skill is not only for this service, it's for you to be able to build good relationship with people. It's very important. Actually, after I learned counseling, I noticed that I have so much, my relationship with other people becomes so much better. I have two younger sisters, 我哋三姊妹啊. And then before I was like a big sister, 好似大家姐咁樣吓. Whenever they have problem, I say, I try to solve the problem, and I try to because my mother and father divorced when I was young, and my mother actually gone away. So I was like a big sister since I was 12 years old. I take care of the family. So whenever they come to me, I always I used to be like a big sister, try to protect them, try to give them advice. But then I noticed that our relationship was not so good because they don't want me to give them advice, right? They were only 2 years younger than me, 4 years younger than me, not so much younger than me. But after I learned counseling, I noticed that my relationship with my younger sisters was so much better. Now I would ask them questions. I will listen to their stories, listen to their problem. And then I would say, you thought about that. That's very good. I would acknowledge their feelings, acknowledge what they told me. And wow, this is very good already, like encouragement, but you don't just give advice, So I noticed that my relationship with people become better. Also with my children, with my husband, with my parents. I'm still trying, but it's not easy. Sometimes I still want to do that, want to give advice, maybe later on when you try it later, you try to notice it. It's easy to say, but it's hard to do because everybody try to give advice. Everybody try to be the expert. Like nowadays, for example, if you're in Instagram, or if you on Facebook, whenever you post something, you ask somebody's advice, So many people will jump and tell you,你咁咪得咯，咁咪得咯. So many people, everybody is expert. Whenever if you say you're sick, you want to go for operation, even if they are not doctor, as if they know, everybody tells you so much, But this is what we try not to do, okay. Yeah, so this I'm not going to go through, and how to ask questions. All these questions is just samples. You can have a look, try, for example, what's your strength? 你有啲咩優點啊？你覺得自己how did you why did you do that？你做義工啊？點解啊？我想幫人啊？點幫啊？you are volunteer? Why did you do that? Like that. All these kind of questions. Okay. So I have said so many times for myself already. I'm not gonna. This is just a reminder. Actually, I said already so much. This. Like create space, we respect people, we accept them, we give them freedom because we believe that people have their own choice. We are open, active listening. We listen, we trust the person can handle it. We respect. 咩叫尊重啊？其實好難嘅，尊重人好難嘅。Actually, respect is very hard to learn. Respect means we trust. 我哋係信任對方做得嚟。We even the person have different opinion as you do, but we respect them because we just trust the person. We respect the person is different from you. They might have different opinion, but you still respect them to have the freedom of choice. You hope people to give you the freedom, and we should also the same give the freedom to other people to make a choice for themselves, right? So we promote their own value. We are not judging. 唔好批判嚇，唔好批評嚇。We also humble and patient, and we also talk slowly, with a moderate, comfortable volume and comfortable speed. 唔好大大聲，點啊，婆婆啊，我又教你啦，咁樣，like we talk. The attitude is very important. Also, we respect, Okay, so like I already said that, we sometimes even they suffer. Sometimes even you see them suffering, or they are puzzled by the problems, but then it's okay. It depends on how we view suffering. We still trust the person that they can go through by themselves. 佢哋即係真係佢哋 go through 咗咁多年啦。They have already gone through all these problems so many years. For example, they say they have pain in the knee, or they have insomnia problem. You just have to trust them. Sometimes we are very anxious. 哇，咁我唔教佢呢個方法，佢會好似仲好慘喎，好 suffer 喎。我知道呢種藥好好喎，幫到佢喎。But we still have to restrict ourselves because this is their process of becoming. It's their own process of learning also, and we trust they already have so much knowledge to go through this problem. 其實佢哋已經好有經驗去面對佢哋自己嘅問題㗎啦。So we trust that. Okay?